Good evening. I'm Epstein with your Metal Market Wrap-Up, and this wrap-up is for Monday, the 14th of October, Columbus Day, 2024, about 6:35 p.m. Central Time. Sorry I couldn't be with you over the weekend. Allergy attacks. Every time I tried to talk, I just started coughing, and it's typical at this time of the year. I'm wearing my turtleneck because we're going down to freezing now in the Chicago area for an evening. I can't wait. Let the plants finally stop this pollen. But it hit me pretty hard. Stock market, new all-time highs. Remember me telling you that, number one, September is normally a weak time. That didn't happen. Number two, I said that October 10th is generally the end of the bear cycle, and from there the market tries to springboard a bit. New all-time high. So the October 10th date worked, but you didn't get that September price break. In the metal markets, it's interesting to watch what's going on. You've got to be looking over your shoulder as to the day's events. Now, mentioning that, you're going to tomorrow morning get the New York Empire State Manufacturing Survey for October. Remember the number jumped to 11.5? I don't know if you recall that in the last month's report. The odds are it's not going to be anything near that. They're talking a 4 number. Redbook Group will come out with their weekly retail sales data at 7:55. It's been running about 5.2 to 5.3% increases. What else? Well, over the weekend when I wasn't here, we saw China had another one of its meetings, unscheduled, that came about, and they were going to give us their stimulus package. And now you have a tale of two cities. If you go to Beijing, they liked the idea. The Chinese stock market was up, even though no facts were given. If you come to the U.S. and other Western markets, you saw gold fall, oil fall, a number of markets down and down fairly hard. Why is that the case? Because there were no facts given, and we don't know what they're really talking about there. Are they going to give you $1 trillion? Are they going to give you 10 trillion? What's the size of the package is going to be? When do they come out? So that was negative. If you look at the energy markets, they've been getting hit. And I think in part because the war premium's coming out. When I saw the THAAD missile system, and it's going to be deployed tomorrow in Israel, sent by the U.S. with 100 soldiers, the first thing that went up on my mind was, okay, Israel's going to attack now. Then you get to think about it. You know, the one thing that the Biden clan, that includes VP Harris, doesn't want to see, of course, is what? Inflation with oil take off right in front of the election, which is November 5th. You know, we're talking 20 some odd days away. So my guess was, and it continues to be, that somehow Israel and the U.S. got together and they said, okay, we're not going to attack the nuclear structure. We're not going to attack the oil. We'll go after military structures. And the U.S. will be there to work with with Israel on it. And for that, that's when the U.S. said it's going to walk away from these peace negotiations with Hamas and Hezbollah and let all the parties work it out. That seems to be what's going on, and that's why you're dropping in these markets. You've been getting, tonight at least, a little bit of a bid. And that's all I can say is tonight you're trying to get a bid in the bonds and the notes. We'll see if that holds up. They have been going in one direction. Down in the futures, which is higher interest rates coming about. And that seems to be how that played out. When you look at the dollar's been on a tear to the upside. So let me ask you a question and think this through, because it impacts the gold market. If Trump wins, which is now today, we're 3 weeks ahead of the election, but as of today, some of the betting sites have it 55%, 45% a Trump win. It was flip-flopped just a week or two ago on that. So now if that comes in like that, is Trump bullish or bearish for the dollar? That's what you've got to ask yourself. The marketplace seems to think bearish is Harris, bullish is Trump win. That's the way that you look at it. I don't know if that's right or wrong. When I look at the gold market, you can see how we've pulled back a little bit. We're down $9 for the beginning of the week. But so what? You're coming off an all-time high close. When you look at what the market has done right through here, I see a market that's caught in a trading channel, just back and forth here. That is your low, that is your high, pretty much sideways action within that. The trend of the market is still down with lower highs, lower lows, but the market is right at that number that I tell you over and over, the 18-day average of closes, and that's your battleground. What about momentum? Well, the Bollinger Band's resistance is going to come in right here at 2701. Remember, we were talking last week. Next objective, the 2700 range, if it can go up. Supports 2628, and the market's away from being oversold. It's now neutralized itself. So what I'm seeing here is the market seems to be building a case, I think, to be bullish. And I look at it in many, many different ways, saying to myself, well, it's overcome and stayed here in spite of a dollar that has really rallied hard just recently. When we go to the gold-silver ratio, gold's over the 18-day average, so it's gained a bit on silver. Silver has to get over, in my opinion now, right here, the 3184.5 zone. And if it crosses that, I don't think it's going to look back right away. I don't think it'll go for those lows. I think that you open the door for the 3278 level. In the copper market, I'm still in the bear camp. And I'm in the bear camp because I don't know what to make out of what China said. So the market on China got up to 480, and just think about this. Over the past 2 weeks or so, the market has come back to 440. I mean, if you think that's a little bitty move, 10%, it isn't. It's a monster move. The support in the market, the 436.90 level, down to 431.10, and the resistance, 449.90. Oversold as can be, not a market I want any part of. And again, it's a tale of two cities. The Western markets broke the news on copper, and if you looked at the Chinese markets, they held steady and went higher as the Chinese markets believe that what Beijing's going to do is going to be very powerful. And in the West, we look at it and say, all they do is talk. They don't do anything. When are they going to do something? I covered that in tonight's full research report. Platinum is the market that turned bullish. It's the first one out of the gate. You have an outside day to the upside today. Let me just carry this back and show it to you. So until this low is taken out, I think the pros are going to buy the market, stop under today's low, which was 976.90, and I think they'll look to see if the market can come back up for the highs right here. Let's call it in the 1025, 1030 zone. That's the zone that I think the market's going to look at. And in the dollar index, you can see you're fighting a battle at the 200-day average, the light gray, to the 100. You're embedded. Trend is up. Bias is up. Market keeps coming up here. Is that a Trump win or a Harris win? I was reading reports on it today in Market Watch. I don't know if you ever get that. It's fascinating to read some of the writings, and that seems to be what traders are pointing out. Now, if you like what I do here, you might like what we do in our charting course. I don't know how many of you have taken my charting course, but we cover swing lines, moving averages, the slow stochastics, Bollinger Bands, and window envelopes. 5 indicators. It doesn't get you confused. It sits in there, and each indicator builds on the next indicator. You're first looking to see what's the overall trend. And it's all new videos. There's, I think, 45 chapters, and God knows how many videos there are total, but there's a heck of a lot. Chapters don't have one video, all right? So I should count them at some time. It's quite a bit. You get the charting software you see behind me. You get access to my market research, because every morning for a month, I want you to be able to go with me when you start this course and see each morning how things work out, what I write about, where I try to point you, how it works. You just go to iraepstein.com, courses. Move your cursor up to the top. There'll be an icon if you want courses. But that's where it's all explained. I'm Ira. You have yourself a great evening. I'll talk to you all first thing in the morning.